Hi, friends. How's everyone doing today? Hold on, let me take a sip of my coffee here. So, I hope everyone is doing okay. So, today I want to talk about the downside of being awake, of this whole awakening process that everybody goes through at some point in their lives. And when you actually follow through things like this, yeah, there is a downside to it. It's not small, it's not a small thing either. And it's because you change your outlook on things to such a degree that it becomes extremely hard for you to relate to people the same way you did before. Not just to people, to just about anything that comes down to life in general. And it's it's ironic how this there are certain things in life that's just the way it is, right? You do you go through this whole process of figuring things out, understanding how things really work, seeing through the fakery, the illusions and the lies that we've been fed our whole lives. And then the issue with that is that you pay the ultimate price, which it's it's hard how to put it, but it's a cost that comes with the knowledge that you gain from seeing things from the right perspective, from the source perspective. Because what you're going to notice and what you're going to see is that almost everything is going to fall off from your life once you reach that point. In a lot of cases, you're not even going to have to do anything. People will just cut themselves off from your life. And the ones that don't, you probably are the person, you probably are the one who's going to end up cutting, the cord on the rest of people and just walking away and moving on with your life, because it's once you reach this level, this point that you understand the process and you know how it is, it becomes almost unbearable for you to relate to people and have a normal conversation with someone, because normal conversations are so mundane. At least that's the way I look at it. That I don't got time for that stuff in my life anymore. You know, if you're not capable of maintaining the level of knowledge that is necessary, and I'm talking about other people, not myself in the case, and I would like to know what you guys think about this. I would love to hear your comments. That would be great. Um, because the way I look at it is I can't talk to people unless here's how I see it. When I want to talk about stuff, I want to talk about meaningful things, philosophical topics, things about the soul, the spirit, the wisdom that we acquire by living throughout our lives. And if you try to have a conversation with a normal person about things like this, it doesn't matter who they are. They could be your closest friend, they could be your relatives, they could be, you know, someone you know, a co-worker. It doesn't matter. People are gonna look at you like you're absolutely insane. And it won't take long, depending on whatever it is that you're talking about. You may talk a couple of phrases, and then they're not even going to want to talk to you. And this is what's going to happen. It's a normal thing. So if that has ever happened to you, I can relate. Okay, you're not alone. It happens. It's pretty normal. Um, it's like people are having conversations about the most stupid, useless, mundane stuff that's out there. Whether it is like, some celebrity, actor, musician, you name it, all kinds of ridiculous things, political stuff, you know, who cares about these things? What what kind of impact, positive impact, any of these things will have in your life to make you a better person? Whether it's whether it be in the short run or the long run. Just think about that for a minute. What do you gain from, you know, feeding yourself, whatever kind of media you're feeding yourself these days? I'm talking about general stuff, like TV, movies, music, because there's a lot of noise and a lot of things out there that are completely meaningless when you look at it deep down. They won't serve you in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know about you guys, but when it comes down to me, I value the things that I look at for myself. And this is why I try to limit whatever form of media I consume, whatever it is. And when I do, it's always something that it feels good for me. Like let's say in music, I only listen to very very specific, high frequency, high vibration type of music. Most of the time, it's gonna be stuff that won't even have any lyrics on it. It's just gonna be people humming, healing sounds and things like that, or just purely instrumental stuff that is very melodic, harmonious, balanced. Because when I listen to things like that, I want to think of it as if it's something that is actually feeding my soul the right energy that it needs. And then when it comes to media, pretty much the same thing. I like watching movies every once in a while, but I like movies that are about the human spirit. And stuff like that is rarely ever made these days. It's like I can't even remember. Actually, I think the last movie that I watched that it was about something like that was I don't remember the title of it though. Oh, I think it was called Alpha on Netflix, and it was a movie about a boy, well, a young man from some tribe. The story is like supposed to be like in before the ice age or something like that, and he gets split up from his tribe while they're like hunting and stuff, and then they leave him for dead because they think they died, but they didn't. And then, to make a long story short, the plot of the movie is he makes friends with a wolf. And I'm not gonna spoil the movie for you, but it's a beautiful, beautiful story, and it's always amazing when you see that there are still people out there that can write stories like that, that not only they are profound lessons, life lessons in a sense, but also it is so beautifully done that there was no dialogue in the movie. Well, there is, but the dialogue that's in the movie, they speak a language that there's no legends. You have no idea what they're talking about. You can't relate to it at all because it's probably something that's made up just for the movie. So they are talking among themselves and stuff sometimes, and even the guy, when he's talking to the wolf, but you don't know what they're saying. But it is done in such a beautiful manner. It's so well done that it doesn't matter that you don't understand what they're saying. It conveys emotion in a perfect way. And that's the type of movie that I like to watch. That stuff that like stirs the soul, it stirs the heart. Hope. Things that made us as a race thrive for thousands of years. So, yeah, when it comes down to, once you wake up and stuff, and then if it hasn't happened to you yet, don't worry, it will. It will. You'll know what I'm talking about. But what happens is, yeah, you won't relate to people anymore. It's gonna be hard. And a lot of times you're just gonna listen instead of doing the talking because you really don't want to participate in that kind of thing because it's meaningless. It has no value for you whatsoever. It's hard to. This is the hardest part, that you have to deal with that almost all the time on a daily basis. And once you wake up, there's no going back. It just doesn't happen. It's impossible. You just can't. So that's the other thing. So the best way for you to deal with things like that is, you kind of have to just be by yourself and seclude yourself from people in general. Um, and yeah, eventually, every once in a while, you're gonna run into someone. In the beginning, anyway. Later on, it gets much better though. Every once in a while, you're gonna run into someone who is aligned with the type of person that you are, and you should hold on to people like that. Because those are the people that get you, and they understand because they know what you're talking about. And they may not be at the same stage that you are on your journey, but it doesn't matter as long as they understand. That's all you need. Those are the people you want to keep around in your life and become friends with and stuff like that. And don't worry, it gets much better later on. And then there's always the internet. You can meet people through places like this, in this platform, and there's forums on the internet. You can be friends with people if you want, get to know people, whatever. But generally speaking, the life of spiritual people, it's kind of a lonely journey for the most part, until you start finding your tribe and reacclimating yourself to this new paradigm of the way you see and look at things and think about things and all this stuff. And I like to go to the woods a lot. That's why you see, a lot of my videos are recorded in the woods. Today I didn't go out at all, so I stayed home. I wasn't even gonna upload anything today, but I made my coffee here, and I was like, you know what, I might as well, upload a video today. And yeah, this is really all I wanted to talk about this specific subject. Don't worry too much if it feels like that in the beginning, because it's a pretty normal and natural thing to happen, and it's just part of the process, and it's the cost, it's the price we got to pay for seeing the light for what it is, guys. It's just the way it is. And it's getting better. There's way more people, getting used to this idea now and waking up to things because of all the stuff that's happening all over the place. But it's just part of the process, and we just got to deal with it, you know. So, and I'm going to end it right here. This is all I wanted to say, really. So, I love you all. Never stop loving yourself. And I will catch you next time. Take care, my friends.